So the question that many of us have been wondering about IKEA is if the prices are going up. And walking through my local IKEA aisle by aisle, box by box, product by product, I actually went through and checked where everything is made. Like this KALLAX shelf is going to be made out of Romania. You have your Mitzen, you have your jar fillet made in China, and that's a chair. You have a harja falal made in China, and the KALLAX desk was also made in Lithuania, I believe. Now the Arade desk, this is Lithuania, and the Stormola is made in Poland. You know, the trend here is that the Gulerberg chest is made in Lithuania. There's a trend. I don't know if you guys are hearing the trend. A lot of these countries are in Eastern Europe, and this is a secret to IKEA. They have mastered the supply chain where, you know, they're even getting their mom dressers made in Italy. So you could literally say, hey, where's your mom dresser made? In Italy, my man. The Brimnes dresser is also made in Italy. You know, a lot of these products are sourced and created and produced in Italy. The Songesand, this is also produced in Italy. Now, a lot of the pack systems and some of the specialty items are still produced in China, which is going to be very interesting because it's hard to move supply chains away for metalworking and molding as quickly as you can for wood and furniture making. So this PAX closet frame is made in Italy. So if someone says, where did you get your closet? I got it in Italy. That's literally a right answer if you're buying it at IKEA. Now, as I go through the IKEA step by step, I'm also checking where is this metal made out of. So it's $14.99. It is produced in China. And I think that's a product of just who produces this the cheapest. And IKEA also has the Hermes bookcases being built in Brazil. So that's another one. The crib here is going to be produced in Vietnam. And this desk here is produced in China. So everywhere you look, it is basically the United Nations of manufacturing. The secret to IKEA, though, is that all of the names are going to be in a Swedish name. So it all sounds Swedish to us. But then if you look where it's made somewhere else. So the marketing, the cleverness of the design here, and just the manufacturing quality control is very impressive from IKEA. And this is why they're winning the furniture wars. Because I have 25 minutes where we cut each product one by one and just to check where they were made. And the diversity, even for specific products, was impressive. Because you had some of these products made in Denmark, you had products made in Hungary, you had products made in Brazil, and that's me being based in the US. I'm sure other IKEAs, wherever these IKEAs are located in other countries, from Asia to South America to Europe, you know, IKEA is expanding to the point where all of these products can be moved around quickly enough that it makes sense for them to offer these items uniformly at low prices everywhere. The only problem, I think, for IKEA is how will tariffs and trade impact IKEA? Because just because it's not made in China, for a company like IKEA, if Europe gets taxed or gets tariffed heavily, then for the consumer in the country like America, it's going to cost more money. It's going to cost more money to buy IKEA. And I think that's going to be outside of IKEA's power because they've already cut their margins to the point where anymore, and it's going to be difficult for them to really expand. Because what we want to see is IKEA start raising the quality back on their lower end products, even though they keep lowering the price. And that's going to take some time. It's going to take improved manufacturing, and it's going to take them to master where they want to manufacture each of these individual products and manage it. Because IKEA is also planning for the future. They're going to figure out where to source their wood, because IKEA is the global #1 user of wood in the entire world. So they're figuring that out too. There's a lot in the works here. So I'm quite curious how this is going to impact us as people and just, impact prices, because who's going to be able to beat IKEA now if everything like AI and everything about algorithms is to make things more efficient? IKEA is probably one of the most efficient furniture operators in the entire world, if not the best furniture operator in the world right now. So would you buy a sofa that's $1,900 from IKEA now? This is going to be on the lined ground. It is $24.99. If you walk with me through my local IKEA store, you'll notice that I'm going to take a look at a lot of the various furniture they have in the showroom. And this is going to be the KALLAX showroom stuff. And you can see how the price has dropped on so many different items. You also notice that on the lower end prices, so that means items that are going to be less than 100, they have really started cutting their prices. But for the items that are going to be in that $200, $300, $400 camp, the quality is going to be impacted by the lower prices. And if they want to keep the same quality, you know those prices are actually going up. So the Hemnes, the TV unit, this uses more solid wood and they kept the price the same as last year. You're not noticing a difference here, but on the Lanson, that has more metal and you see that's now $500. They have this top rated shelf here for $129. That hasn't changed yet. And on this KALLAX, this is their marquee flagship product line where they're using derivatives of it in order to produce multiple shapes, and they have it in multiple colorways. You have this media stand for $129.99. That has not changed, except now you get it with doors, so actually they have made it more affordable. But then they have upgraded some of the bookcases that you see here. So this is going to be on a bookcase, and I might be pronouncing it incorrectly. Sorry, Amnaz again. And it's solid wood, but they put it in different colors, and it's going to have a more premium wood feel to it. It just has a beautiful colorway, and I even think the patina is pretty nice for IKEA furniture. That's $249, so that's a big winner in my book, but it's still going to be on the higher price point. So you see what IKEA is doing. They're trying to balance out lowering the prices on a lot of their more value products that are going to be mass produced, while they're keeping a small space inside of their shop dedicated to having more high quality products. Qualities that you're going to be paying similar prices, at least to a discount outlet version of Restoration Hardware. And if you ask me personally, where is it most evident where they're cutting back on some of the quality? That's going to be on office chairs. So if you look at this office chair, it is $79.99, but it is so thinly padded. I mean, you're going to have to buy a seat cushion just to make it more comfortable. Then if you go down the line, some of these office chairs are now getting to this $300-$400 price point. So for $149, you get the Rosenthorpe, and this is going to be a fabric chair, but look how loose that fabric is. This beautiful resin chair now costs you $189.99, and that's pretty expensive for an IKEA chair that has no seat cushions. This is just a beautiful resin chair. Now, if we take a closer look at some of the more expensive chairs as we get down the list, look at this. This is going to be on the Center Half, which is produced in China. This chair costs you $250. I mean, I know it looks kind of like a SteelSeries chair, but it's not a SteelSeries chair. And then you look at some of these other office chairs with this leather chair taking the cake here. Because of the material choice, you have now the option to buy an IKEA chair, the Tosberg Longfall, for $459.99. And I know I mispronounced the name, but it's just to emphasize IKEA chair, $459.99, and it uses the same plastic bearings you're going to get from an office chair at Staples for $50. And I sat on it, it's okay, but it's definitely not $460 good. But where IKEA is absolutely killing it is going to be inside of the kitchens, inside of the PAX closet systems, inside of the kids' bedroom gear in terms of bedrooms. Living room is just not really great for office. Then that's my opinion here. But take a look at this kitchen stuff. This is $6.99. This is on the Ownerup, and it's absolutely gorgeous. These are going to be solid built drawers, and it looks clean. I like how all of the finishes are, and it still only costs you, and I know it sounds a lot, but it's only costing you $6.99 brand new. And IKEA made a huge change in terms of bedroom. What IKEA did is that they actually just sold or got rid of a lot of the expensive headboards and this upscale premium headboards that they were selling. Now they went back to the basics. They're looking at a price point for their beds with the mom here for $259. Now, you just don't see those premium headboards that are trying to mirror a restoration hardware as much inside of the showroom, because this is the most expensive headboard I saw for $7.99, but it's the most padded headboard, and it's a simple headboard that we've seen from IKEA in a long time. So IKEA's biggest retailer is a group called the Inca Group, and lucky for us, they actually publish some of their earnings and what their primary objective is for the strategic year. So what they are actually saying and what we've actually seen is that they made the decision not to prioritize profits, but to kind of go after market share by lowering their costs, as well as start moving some of their manufacturing around so that they're going to be shielded from some of these trade wars and tariff wars that are ongoing. And the commitment to lower prices is also echoed by the IKEA Group, which is the owner of the brand and the concept. So then you had the retailer, and now this is going to be the marketing part of it. So they've reduced their wholesale prices to IKEA retailers by a global average of 10%, with a full year effect of 15% in 2024. And you do not have to look far to see a tangible real-world example of how IKEA is saving us money by investing in lower prices, as they say. So if you look at a Billy bookcase, in about 2022, they raised the price for the Billy bookcase up to $89, and now it is back to $69. But the biggest secret of IKEA is that they mastered the supply chain and they master logistics. So IKEA is known for that flat pack model, and that means that all the furniture can be compacted so that it doesn't take as much space on the boat or the ship or in the container. And they can operate a really large, humongous, enormous global sourcing network with over 1,800 suppliers in just about 50 countries. So they can optimize the cost and quality of different types of wood, and they can get it from places that other countries can't get it from, mainly Eastern Europe. Because if you walk around an IKEA center, you'll notice that different products are produced in different places. So one thing might be made in China, another might be made in Italy, there's another one that may be made in Bulgaria, Brazil. It is coming from all over, and because of that, they're able to lower their overall input costs based on where they have to produce it, and they're able to buy enough of it that they can pass on some of those scales of economy. That means they can scale up their production and just really minimize how much profit can be made by the suppliers, and then pass that on to you and me. So walking around at IKEA and seeing IKEA's recent strategy where they're trying to level up, where some things are getting more expensive, but majority of things they're just maintaining their prices or even lowering the prices. And this just reaffirms what IKEA's core identity is. It's really leveraging a period of falling input costs, and they've made a lot of investments in trying to lower those prices. And that's based on their ability that they have a decades-old model that's been perfected since my childhood, since your parents' childhood, since mom and dad, that they can pack furniture in little flat boxes, and they can actually be responsible with decisions they make because they're a private company. They don't have to answer shareholders, and then they're going to be able to get enough wood from places that other people aren't using, and then they're going to have their logistics chain just create a whole web of factories that can produce furniture at low prices for the people. And I know people might say, well, what about IKEA quality? The IKEA quality pieces are getting more expensive. And this is definitely true. But that does not mean that IKEA is not trying to offer a product that anywhere else you couldn't buy at that low price. So this is a really bold strategy, and it's really only one that IKEA is playing. And I think this really positions them strongly for the future. And the future is going to be, who do I or you or me or them want to buy the furniture from? Because in the future, we're going to have a lot of choice. And it's going to come down to, where am I going to feel that my value, what I want to pay for something that might look good in my house, how much do I want to pay for it? I prefer to buy it from IKEA today, which is crazy because just about 2 years ago, everyone was rushing to our house, to a restoration hardware, to all of these fancy shops to get very exclusive or, kind of exclusive furniture at semi to high prices. So as we go back to value, I'm ready, people. I'm ready, and I think you're ready too, to just enjoy watching IKEA just take over all of the furniture wars and just win it. They're going to win it in 2025, and you're going to see it. So with that, thanks for watching, everybody. If you have any questions on any of the things we are talking about, please hit that like and subscribe button. It really does help support our channel. And I'll catch you next time. This is Dave with the French Glow signing off. Bye, bye, bye.